This is an extract from the Leader Coronavirus Daily podcast by the Evening Standard and hosted by me, David Marsland. To hear the whole thing, search for it on your podcast provider. Dominic Cummings has always insisted that his dash from London to Durham with his wife and child and their visit to Barnard Castle was not against the law.
In terms of the rules, I think that the rules make clear that if you're dealing with small children, then that can be exceptional circumstances.
After that press conference in the Downing Street Rose Garden, he was given the Prime Minister's backing. Now, though, Durham Police say they're not so sure. The Barnard Castle trip might have been a minor breach, they say, but won't be taking any further action. Boris Johnson was already under pressure from senior members in his own party who feel the affair is undermining efforts to keep the country safe. And our political editor Nicholas Cecil is with me now. Nicholas, what have Durham Police actually said?
They've issued quite a detailed statement and it needs to be read very carefully. First of all, they haven't said that Dominic Cummings definitely has committed an offence. What they say is that he may have committed a minor breach of the health protection regulations in relation to the COVID epidemic. And this relates to a trip he did with his wife and child to Barnard Castle, which is around 26 miles from his father's estate in County Durham. And what Durham Police are saying is that if they had stopped him during this journey, an officer would probably have spoken to him and would likely have advised him to return to the address in Durham where he'd come from. On the other matter of whether he breached the rules driving from London to County Durham, the Durham Constabulary say they don't consider by locating himself to his father's premises that there was a breach. The police in Durham are not going to take any further action. They have taken a generally softly approach to dealing with coronavirus offences, so they're generally speaking to people rather than fining people. Downing Street very quickly made clear that Mr. Cummings would not be resigning. They put out a statement within minutes saying the Prime Minister has said he believes Mr. Cummings behaved reasonably and legally given all the circumstances, and he regards this issue as closed. Now, to say that Mr. Cummings behaved legally seems possibly at odds with what Durham Constabulary have said.
Yeah, but this line might have been a minor breach doesn't entirely clear things up, really, does it? It all leaves a bit of a murky feeling around this.
Yes, it's not entirely clear why Durham Constabulary have used that phrase. It may be that because they could not know for certain how they would have responded to such an incident, but that's really left hanging slightly by the statement. Certainly Downing Street would seize the opportunity to basically quickly to try to move on again from this row. There's another interesting point which emerged this morning, which was even if Mr. Cummings had not broken the regulations, had he broken the moral code, what the public were expected to do during lockdown? And very interestingly, the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, was asked 4 times this morning on the radio whether he felt Mr. Cummings had done, quote, the right thing by driving from London to Durham. And he refused to say that. So there certainly seemed to be some doubt about that in some ministers' minds.
And there have been a number of quite senior Tory MPs suggesting that Dominic Cummings should go.
Yes, certainly dozens of Tory MPs have spoken out. Many of them have received hundreds of emails from furious constituents feeling that there's one rule for the general public and one ruling for the London elite running the country. And more have come out as the days have gone on, voicing these concerns. We had 2 senior MPs actually warning this morning that lives could be put at stake. Because if people decide that if Mr. Cummings doesn't have to follow the rules, they don't have to follow the rules, then the public health measures to protect the country are going to be put in jeopardy, certainly to a degree.
And this came out before the Durham Police statement. Does that statement change anything? Does it apply more pressure to the Prime Minister to do something?
Not hugely at this stage. The only thing that would change now is if a lot more MPs came out and demanded that Mr Cummings go. But Boris Johnson has made it very clear that he's got no intention of sacking his number 10 top aide. But the whole matter is deeply damaging for the government. Not only does it overshadow the launch of the test and trace system that went live this morning, but Boris Johnson is also announcing further relaxation measures, or certainly is expected to do so today, and yet the focus is still on this controversy that refuses to go away.
Search for the Leader Coronavirus Daily on any podcast provider to hear more from the podcast.